Yep. That's why I watched.
No, God, please, no, no.
Yes, I feed on your hatred.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Tomb of the Terrible. I am your humble servant, UncleNecRo, and tonight I am joined by Del, Friday, and Chaos, Pyle, and the ever-loving Ron down there. And tonight, when talking about bad movies, there are certain ones that have achieved legendary status due to just how bad they are. Some of which, we viewed here in the Tomb. Few have been brave enough to venture into watching them for fear of losing whatever tenacious grasp on their sanity they have. Tonight, we tempt fate and put our sanity to the test, and possibly even our friendships. For tonight, we're discussing the cinematic magnum opus that is Manos, The Hands of Fate. Fellas and ladies, was this, how many people have, this is their first time seeing it? All of you? Really? Okay, well, this should be interesting. So, if you have not seen the movie yet, count yourself among the blessed. And let's see, originally released in 1966, Manos, The Hands of Fate tells the tale of a couple and their whiny young daughter, an equally annoying doggy, taking a drive in their convertible out in the desert on their way to a vacation getaway in the middle of nowhere. Obviously, they get lost, and after getting worthless directions from a couple making out and driving and driving and driving and driving through many a cutscene, they end up even more lost. They stop by a building and are met by an odd gentleman with an odd walk and even more odd way of talking, telling them that his master doesn't want to stay there. But then he lets them stay there anyway. Then the dog disappears, then the young daughter, then the curator of the building begins to creep on the wife. Stuff happens, and then the aforementioned master wakens along with his wives, who then argue about letting the wife stay and be part of the cult's harem or not. I wish I could say wackiness ensues, but I would be lying. So, curious, what was everybody's first impressions of this movie? We'll start with Del.
I would like to let everyone know currently that because of this, Ratatosker is double fisting tonight. He's not going to participate anymore in the show because he has to go get drunker now. But I will be joining him after the show because I wanted to be able to actually voice this.
Yeah, I do worry about the poor guy's liver.
Well, that's why he has his adopted foster son growing up, the flying squirrel, who ran away from home when he realized exactly why he was brought into the family to begin with as a liver replacement, because Ratatoskr doesn't understand genetics. But my first impression of this movie was that I am still waiting to see an actual movie. I do not believe that what I saw counts as a movie. There, I thought maybe that the place that I was watching it on got fucked up because, like it was some really bad version of it. There was no introduction to this thing. The sounds were all off. Like everybody was talking and it was wrong, and there wasn't really much that happened in it exactly. And so it was just kind of like a bunch of different things that got put together and called a movie. That was my first impression.
Okay.
Still
fair
waiting
enough.
for it to be one.
Okay, that might be quite the wait that you got there. Friday, Chaos, what were your first impressions?
I'm still trying to figure out if it was worth the $3 I spent on it.
It was.
You spent money on
You
this?
spent money on it?
It was on Tubi.
I got aggravated at Plex.
Okay.
It got choppy. I'm like, screw it. Bought the thing, watched it, and I'm like, was it worth it?
This is on
For
YouTube.
only $3.
My actual copy I got, just sans all the riffing I got from a 50 movie pack for $20. Wow. So, man. So Chaos, was this about? Yeah.
I thought about 50 seconds into their drive, which felt like 50 minutes.
Uh-huh.
Maybe this movie would be better with drugs. And then the movie continued, and I thought there are not enough drugs in the world to make this movie good.
It was the 60s. But we can see that Pyle just bowed out for guessing he didn't really want to go there at the moment. So, oh, there you are. What were your first impressions, Pyle? You okay?
Jenny, I'll pay you the money back. This is a terrible movie.
He's trying not to cry.
I will pay you the money back. My gosh. I wanted to be on this episode so bad. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch this movie. And when I start getting into it, mind you, you can't get into this movie. I downloaded the app just to make sure I could watch this thing. And now I'm considering how much of a waste of time it is. And you paid for yours. But it just, the opening part of this, there is no opening credits. There's nothing. And it just, the music was horrible.
Okay. Yeah.
That was my first impression of it.
Okay. So, Ron, what say you?
When I initially looked up this movie, I saw that there was a Misty 3K episode for it, and there was also a Riff Tracks episode for it. And I said, I don't want to watch either of those because I don't want their jokes, their one-liners to make my bias of the movie. I want to experience it on my own and come up with my own comments on it. So I continued looking for the movie, and I saw that it was on Prime. You could rent it for 99 cents, or you could buy it for $2.99. And I thought, well, from everything I've heard about this movie, I'm not entirely certain I want to rent it. I'd rather see it first and then decide. I did find it on YouTube, and I'm very glad that I did not pay money for this movie. And now I wish I had gone with the riff tracks.
Wow. Okay. You actually paid. Wow. One of our friends had paid money, and okay. Might I suggest that you find the riff tracks live edition of it? I didn't wish for anybody to watch it just raw backing, just the movie itself. You can't do that. But okay, look, what we got here is
you can, because we all did.
well, we wanted to do the due diligence. I admire that, but sometimes you got to wear protection. So, you know, so what we got here is essentially a movie that was made on a bet by, I know it as a dentist. Chaos has heard it was a cement salesman. Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Basically, whoever it was, they were claiming that that they can make a movie because it was easy enough so easy that even he could do it. So he did, with a local theater troupe, a hand-wound 16 millimeter camera that can only take 32 seconds of footage at a time, and no audio, so everything was ADR'd, and a budget that would make a shoestring seem like blockbuster money. The movie was made. It was immediately lost to the void of cheap and independent B movie hell, as I mentioned, as nature intended it. But decades later, because humanity is being punished for our sins, the movie was rediscovered and given new life by way of the television show Mystery Science Theater 3000. It has gained quite the cult following and has been riffed not only by MST3K, but also the offshoots, Riff Tracks, and Cinematic Titanic, I believe was the, yes, deep hurting indeed. But
damage.
Yeah, indeed. So let's go ahead and get this out of the way. What did we like about the movie? Let's go with Del. Ooh.
I liked that. That
Okay.
was something I liked about the movie. In case you can't figure out what he's supposed to be looking like, this is him. Those aren't random streaks. No, those are hands. And the best actor is seen here, by the way. That would be the dog, the Doberman on the leash.
Indeed.
A fun game to play that I've discovered now is you put your right hand in, you take your right hand out, you put your right hand in, and you shake it all about. He does the hokey pokey. He can also do his left hand, just in case. Don't worry. He's got them both. That was the funnest thing I could think of to do with this movie. And that's all I liked. I really hated this fucking movie. That I don't even know why I'm calling it a movie, because I still don't actually consider it to be one. This thing that I experienced, that I had more fun playing with it afterwards than I did watching it. I also did discover, this is another good thing about this movie, is that in 2012, Freak Zone Games came out with an 8-bit side-scroller called Manos, The Hands of Fate Director's Cut that is kind of a little Mario-esque Castlevania style of things that has, it's better. I mean, it quotes all the lines from the movie, but there are actually more than like 2 doors in this mansion thing that they're in. Where they're only, well, there's a door outside that you don't actually see, the bedroom door, and the door that they said like it might go to the kitchen, but it actually went to the cult hall that was on the beach, the cellar. I don't know. There you go. That's what I liked, finding out about those things.
Okay. All right. Friday, was there anything you liked about it?
There were puppies.
Okay. That there were. So, is that everything you liked about it?
They tried to make art.
And failed.
Uh-huh. Well, at least they tried. But Chaos,
They
what
tried
did you like
art.
about that?
I like the Doberman, but I can see why the Doberman was so damn pissed.
Hmm.
And I have to say this, Dale. You know that second hand shot you did where his right hand was out?
Left hand.
Yeah, his left hand was out. The only thought that came through my head was, my ropes are on fire. Because the fire in the scene looks like it's catching his robes on the opposite side. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have that microwavable bean burrito earlier. Be around fire. It's hazardous. So,
Then there's this. Would Clint
Yeah.
Howard be a good Torgo?
he's a bit old right
Nick
now.
Offerman.
Nick Offerman, maybe.
Nick
Thinking of
Offerman's
somebody
got the mustache for it.
Oh, I did like the costuming on Torgo because they made his pants in such a way that his knees bent in a funky angle for his body.
I'll get
Unless
to
the man was just built really strangely. But if it was costuming, that was something that I thought was done well.
that. We'll get to that. There is quite the
All right.
explanation for that. But Pyle, what did you like about this movie? Come on, don't be shy.
Come on.
It ended.
That there was an ending to the movie.
Oh, I wouldn't say it was an ending. I'm just saying it was done. At some point, it was over.
The credits
Okay.
rolled.
It didn't end the way it started, like just boom, we're in it. So, Ron, what did you like about this movie?
The women were hot.
Okay.
That's. I mean, the women were rather attractive. His wives and the man's wife, they were all attractive, and the women they look good. Then, ordinarily, I could say I like the whole the women fighting in the desert and the sand and all of that stuff, but and then they even messed that up. Like, how can you fuck up a wet dream? And they did.
That takes talent, by the way.
I've said that comment to somebody in my life, and just to hear it on this podcast is so wonderful. Thank you, Ron, for bringing that to light.
So, what I liked about this movie, what I've discovered was the reason for that draws me back each and every time was the character of Torgo. And going back to what Del had to say, the reason why his legs were like that was because he originally was designed as a fawn. And so they had the special prosthetic fawn legs that bent weird. So it kind of looked like they were fawn legs. However, at the last minute, they also thought Torgo should be wearing pants. So they put pants on him with the fawn legs. And he still had to walk around like that. That's why they were bent that way. And that's why he was walking that way. Also, the actor who was playing Torgo, he was lights out on his mind on acid the entire shoot. The entire
Well, that
shoot.
makes sense.
Yes.
Mhm.
It does explain
That's
a
a
lot.
whole
But,
lot more sense.
oh, yeah. So the more close-ups of his face where he's just looking like, things are happening. That's probably what was happening. But that, and oh my gosh, that mustache on the master. I was waiting for that thing to gain sentience and just start strangling everybody. Just, aha. I mean, look at him.
He shaved that little thinner. He would look like someone else.
Jesus, Pyle.
He looks like a dead Freddie Mercury with his hair combed forward, covering a bald spot.
I was going to say John Waters if they did the pencil mustache thing.
I was actually thinking a creepier version of the 1970s Doctor Strange.
Okay. Without the fro.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, like you guys, there was very little that I actually liked, but this movie does kind of grow on me like fungus. Like, we're talking the fungus that was in The Last of Us kind of fungus, which, if I see it listed online to watch, I suddenly go, I must watch this again. Jink, and there we go.
No.
Something about it. That's the only thing that I can think. Okay. But let's move on here. What didn't we like about this movie? Well, be gentle.
Okay. First of all, there's the endless driving. Then there's the couple that makes out all the time that never changes clothes. And they go on for like the next day. So you get lost out in the desert on the way to, and they're all driving convertibles for some reason. It was all about the convertibles because I don't think they could film inside of a car, right? Unless it was open. But so you get lost and you end up at this place where a guy's randomly standing at the door, and you just decide you're going to stay there because it's going to be dark out soon, even though it was like midday, and you're 10 miles from the big town. We're just going to stay here. And the guy's like, I don't think my master wants you to stay. No, we're going to stay at your house. This isn't a hotel. This is this fucking house. We're just going to stay. Well, the master doesn't want... Just get our fucking luggage. We're going to come in here and stay. And then they start bossing Torgo around. And Torgo's just like, the fuck? Okay, I guess they're just going to stay. And that to me was just like, what the fuck? Then you get into this room that's creepy. Got a bunch of hands. Got that painting up there. And the woman is hysterical, like the whole time, oh, we're lost in the desert. Oh, we're at this house. Oh, this guy creeps me out. Oh, that painting is terrible. Mike, I'm so scared. Oh, Mike, I'm so scared. And the kid goes from like laying down to jump up and runs to another room, goes back. Kid sucks. Torgo has this weird obsession with like, well, you said he was on LSD, so maybe that's why he's like this all the time, but he's like, needing to reach out and touch people and pet their hair. And I'm terrified now of Torgo because I got a lot of hair. And if that man were to show up, I'd be like, dude, no. And yeah, so those things, none of them made sense. And then like, Torgo, pack the luggage. We're going back out. No, we're not. We changed our mind. Everything. And the woman just bitches and cries the entire time. She's scared of everything. She doesn't even know what's going on to be scared of it. She's just like terrified. The little kid doesn't give a shit. She's just sleeping and wants her puppy. And the dad is like, of course, what do I take when I go on vacation? I like to keep my pistol in the glove compartment, like you do. With my flashlight and in my convertible, that I'm going to sleep and I'm not going to put the top up. I don't know. I don't own a convertible, so maybe you just do that. But I would always think that maybe since sand is blowing around, that I would want my vehicle to not end up full of dirt the next day. and stuff. The moths were good. The moths did a really good job of flying around in the light. But the costume, all the different things like were rituals. Oh, where you got all your wives? I want a wife. And we wake up, we sit up, we have the wives wake up and like talk around the flame. And then we heard what you did. None of it made sense. There was just no actual, like, we don't know who the fuck Manos is. He's a god that these guys apparently worship. We don't know why. We don't know what he's for. We know that the one guy has a lot of wives, and they all hate each other. You know, they're sitting around bitching about each other constantly. They can't decide whether they're going to sacrifice the kid or not. They're all going to kill the husband. They're happy with that, which I was too, because he sucked. But then they have like these choreographed fights, and like the slaps are so like whack with the sound effects, you know, and like boom, you know, they're all bloody. It was just fucking terrible. I still have no idea what it was supposed to be about, why they had a room to even stay in somebody's house. And for a cult, they had these like cutesy little quilts, and the window, it was just too fucking weird. Like, I'm into weird, but I mean, if I was in a cult and I had a painting like this over my mantle, I wouldn't have an adorable quilt on the bed and like cutesy little curtains and everything like that hanging in the, I guess, guest room. I mean, you couldn't sleep in his room because he slept on an altar. But, you know, that,
Of course.
I liked the dog. So yeah, so I don't understand. I still don't understand who Manos actually is. There's the master, but that's not Manos. That's the high priest of Manos or something. And so I'm still very confused as to why he requires him to have wives, and if that guy was supposed to be a faun, why did we not know about it? Why would you cover up the faunness of him and not make any line of dialogue whatsoever explain that he was a faun? Because that's...
Well, I'm thinking all of that may be actually explained in the sequel. So we're going
I'm
to
not
have to
watching
watch
the
the sequel.
sequel.
Okay.
Oh God, no.
Okay. Fair enough. But okay. Friday. What didn't you like about this movie?
I cannot find anything to add other than what Josh was fixing to say, and I'm just going to let him put it in those words and what she
Okay.
said, because I can't add to that. It's like last night, there was no way to add how I liked the thing more than she had already stated, or less than she has already stated. So,
Besides the fact that you spent actual money to watch this.
I already stated that, so I'm like,
I know,
was it worth it?
but still,
No.
fair enough. So go ahead, Chaos.
The thing I dislike about this movie is that it actually was made. It actually exists. Holy fuck. There wasn't
Okay.
even enough drugs in the 60s to explain this movie.
I find that we seem to say that a lot here on this show, but go on.
Just when the only redeemable part of this movie was the supposed evil Doberman. I'm fairly certain I lost 40 IQ points just by watching this movie.
Okay.
May
Well.
need to go to the hospital and get tested for a disease.
Oh, wow. So, all right. That certainly puts it in an interesting perspective for us. So we'll move on, and Pyle, sweetie, it's your turn. You can do it.
I didn't like the animal cruelty of actually making that Doberman be in this movie. Because this might be the first time that I say that that dog had to have emotional damage after being in this movie. Because if some other dog would be like, hey, I heard you were a movie star, that dog would get its ass whooped by every other dog. Man. I love Doberman.
At least the poodle died.
The poodle
got
got the
out of
easy
it.
way out.
The poodle got out of it.
It was the lucky one.
The poodle probably thought, there's not enough kibble to keep me going in this piece of shit. I'm out of here. Call my agent.
There's so many terrible things.
You'll be on.
First thing I was like, oh my gosh, this entire movie, they have to redo the words. Why am I hearing the radio from the police car? And the reports over the radio doesn't sound like police traffic. It sounds like rescue squad traffic. So I don't know what clip they put there to make it go on, but I was finding myself more interested in trying to figure out what the radio traffic than finding out that this guy got a warning.
Mm-hmm.
The terrible acting. There was no acting training. Ron said there's beautiful women. I didn't find them. They're just, yeah, there was nothing that really caught my attention. And I just kept on watching it just so I was like, oh, okay, I've got to suffer because everybody else has suffered. And then I said, now watch. This is the movie that I wasn't supposed to watch, and I was supposed to watch another movie. And I just wasted all my time watching this one. And I seriously was talking to Friday and sending her messages going, boy, I hope this is the movie I need to watch because this is horrible. So yeah, the poor dog, not the one that got taken out. By the way, I at no point did I see what took out the poodle. Did the Doberman take out the poodle?
That's what was implied.
But the Doberman was chained up to the altar.
Right. It wasn't a very good impliement. I mean, poor people pinning that on that poor Doberman that had to sit there and be a good boy. That's truly animal cruelty on this movie.
Well, you
All
must
right,
understand that you must understand that the poodle was in breach of contract by leaving so early in the movie. So I don't blame the poodle.
So is Ratatosker. I mean, bring back the squirrel. I mean, he's got to be pretty hammered.
Well, for all we know, the poodle could have unalived itself after it found out how bad the movie was.
Yeah.
It's only getting paid in Old Roy why the Doberman was getting kibbles and bits.
Delicious kibbles and bits. Ron, what did you not like about this movie?
All right, get your Ron's rant sign ready. Before I get into that, I want to say that, James, what you said about the background of this movie being made was a bet between two people, and one saying that it was so easy that even he could do it. That actually makes this movie make so much more sense. And hopefully this person, if any of that story is true, which it's all hearsay and I don't know if there's any proof of it, but if any of that is true, hopefully that person learned their lesson that no, making a movie is not that easy, and this movie is proof of it. That being said, everything about this movie sucked. I could reiterate everything that Dell has said, and Friday and Chaos and Pyle, but everything about this movie sucked. It was not good cinematography. The timing, the pacing was just way off. The movie had a runtime of 1 hour and 9 minutes, and it felt like it was so much longer than that. Any good person worth their salt making a movie will test a movie for pacing, and there's so much that they could have cut out of this movie to bring the runtime down. You probably could have done this movie in a half hour and still had a solid story, but that's the problem. There wasn't a solid story because there was really no story development whatsoever. I'll tell you what this movie is. I went to University of South Florida for about a year and a half doing a master's degree in broadcast journalism, and we worked a lot with making independent films and content for streamable media. I worked with a lot of people that also made 24-hour independent film challenges. This is the kind of thing that the teacher would assign, go out, you got 24 hours to make a movie. You're going to be graded on your final project. You get a couple of guys, they get drunk, they say, okay, here's what we're going to do. They got no idea. They don't have anything scripted out. They got nothing. They said, here's what we're going to do. And they just set up the camera and they let it roll. And then they come in the class the next day. They're all hungover, probably still drunk. And they play the movie for the teacher because they just don't give a fuck. And the teacher goes, this is terrible. You failed. You get an F. And they're like, whatever. They don't care. They just threw in a towel. It's that kind of movie. Now, if it had been serious filmmaker, this would have been the rough draft before the final project. You would have turned it into the teacher, and the teacher says, well, you got a good concept, but you just need to explore it, and you need to write more for your story. You need to give us some background information on, is this a cult? Does this man have supernatural powers? Why are these people following him? How long has this been going on? Why is it so far out in the desert? Does he do this to deliberately attract people to his cult? So on and so forth. All these kind of things. Like, what do the people that are making out in the convertible have to do with anything other than a distraction? You could have completely removed them from the movie whatsoever. The movie still would have had the same outcome. What's the deal with the cop other than you just need to have law enforcement in the movie, or what? There was literally no reason for him to be there either until they start going to look for Mike and his family. There was really some kind of weird side storyline that just wasn't panning out because there was no development. You just had to fit all your friends in the movie somehow because you told them, hey, you want to be in my movie? Okay, sure. And nobody knew what the movie was about because nobody had a script. The audio processing was terrible. It was way too loud. It was badly dubbed. The music was horrible. It cut off at inopportune moments. You know, most people, when they put music in a movie, it's going to be like somewhere in the background and it's supposed to build the tension or to keep, a continuity, a flow going with the movie. But you don't even get that. They kind of used the music as it's in the foreground when there isn't any dialogue, and then the music just cuts off. I was like, I don't get that. It's horrible. The music is terrible. It's giving me a headache. How loud the whole audio processing is giving me a headache. There were repeated lines of dialogue because there was no script and they didn't think about editing it. It's just every aspect of this movie was not very well thought out. Where was this altar that the Manos was sleeping on, and all of his brides were standing up and they were supposed to be asleep? I can't sleep standing up. I don't know how that works. But the little girl says that, because she goes play hide and seek or whatever, and she's gone and she finds them, weird people and all of that. Was it part of the house? Was it outside? Because they were surrounded by sand. And as far as I can tell, this house only had like 2 rooms. It was the main room that most everything was shot in, and then the bedroom, and that was it. It's like they had this concept where, all right, so Torgo dies, and I guess Manos hypnotizes Mike or something, and Mike ends up being the new Torgo-like character, and then the mother and the daughter was that was just some weird, creepy vibe. How they're made into Manos's wives or whatever, and everything goes back to normal. So I get the twist, like they're trying to make something out of it, but it was so underdeveloped that I can't possibly see how the movie class instructor could really give them a serious grade on this movie without saying, all right, this is your rough draft. Now let's see the final version. Go out and develop it and use a camera that actually records audio this time. And well, actually, I thought that this whole movie was probably in a different language, and that's the reason why everything was overdubbed, until you told me that the camera didn't do audio to begin with, and they had to dub everything after the fact. But they could have at least used a script. It made no sense. There was nothing about this movie that really has any kind of redeeming quality for what it is. This is it's a freshman entry into a class where the kids really didn't care about making a movie. It could have been done so much better if even one person had stepped up to the plate and said, this doesn't make any sense. Why don't you let me direct this for you? And I guarantee you I can do a better job. But whatever. I wasn't there. It's the 60s. Apparently people didn't care back then. They would watch whatever because they were probably, drunk or stoned out of their mind or on drugs. And this movie would have been trippy to them. And if this movie was lost to time, it should have stayed lost to time. Because if I were an actor, I would not want this on my resume.
Okay. Well, all very thought out. What I didn't like about this movie was the fact that clearly the person who made this movie was a genius visionary whose work was not understood at its time. 1966, it was way ahead of its time, so it had to wait until just now to be foisted upon us who can now fully appreciate his vision. Can you detect the sarcasm? Because
preach it, Uncle Necro, preach it.
Oh my gosh.
What drugs are you on right now? Because good Lord.
We need to get a drug test right now.
Well, the scary thing is I'm always stone cold sober. And yet
I think Necro's taking the piss out of this one right now.
Well, here's the thing. This is a horribly made movie. Possibly even made as an attempt to make something that film schools can point to say, don't do this. This is not how you make a movie. Because first of all, you use a camera that only takes half a minute's worth of film at a time. So can you imagine all the splicing and all of that just to make this? And also the camera,
the fact that it had an hour and 9-minute runtime, that's a lot of film.
That is a lot of film. And that is a lot of padding that they had to do just to get it up to that. Can you imagine if he shot for he was going for a full 90 minutes or maybe even 80 minutes to keep it in the B movie status still? Oh my gosh. So it is very apparent that he was using local theater troupe people who weren't really good at this. maybe even high school students. I don't know. However, also that camera, like I said, as Ron pointed out and various other people, there was no audio on this. He knew this going in there. This was probably one of those, home video type of setups that you took, and, that didn't normally come with the microphone edition feature for whatever reason. But even a boom mic, a cheap boom mic would have been beneficial to this. The whole thing was 80 yard. Now, there's a certain love of cheese that I have, where when I see movies, like say if they were foreign or adapted from a foreign country and they do use an American overdub, where especially in the 70s kung fu movies, where it's very clear that the English speakers are not very synced up with the actor. They did that deliberately for Kung Pao, Enter the Fist, which was great. But the voice for that kid was so wrong. It was clear that an adult woman was trying to affect a young child's voice. And
They were all rather annoying.
I don't know if for the poodle, they just got somebody to go, Murph, bark, I'm a poodle, or whatever. Give me some of that acid, Torgo. But there is a reason why this thing is revered as a bad movie classic, for all the wrong reasons. It's right up there with Troll 2, Birdemic, The Room. The only reason to watch this is, ironically, and the only way you can watch this is by way of either MST3K or riff tracks. Don't ever go and watch this by itself. I have a copy of it like that, but I am a trained professional idiot. I can take this. This is a movie where if you're a novice, you will go in, and by the end of the runtime, you'll be sitting there going,
Yeah.
In other words, I love this movie. So we're going to go on with the rating and would you recommend the movie, starting with Del.
Okay. Like I said, I still don't think of it as a movie. But having to rate it, I will never share this with anyone ever, by the way. I will not suggest this to anybody at all. If somebody's like, could you please give me brain damage? I'll be like, you know what? Go watch Troll 2 instead.
Fair.
It's longer,
Wow.
because of the fact that it spawned this game that actually looks kind of cool. It's got better graphics than the movie, and a lot more entertaining than the movie. I am going to give it a 0.25 out of 10.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I can't keep giving zeros, so
I can.
Fair enough. Friday, what rating would you give this, and would you recommend it?
2, and I even forgot to share it in the Tomb of the Terrible group. I'm actually have to go back and redo that. But
Roy?
Yeah.
No, you don't.
No, don't.
not at all.
Yeah, you do.
No.
No.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
You're good.
They must suffer with us.
Nope. I'm
Yeah,
good.
I'll put this and that.
We were
and the
tribute.
Okay, in it.
Tribute.
So this is it's sounding like this is the show. This is the movie where the show should just be, nope, Bye. And end of show.
We should have, yes.
And on this
You're
week's Tomb of the Terrible, we are just going to spin the wheel and let it go.
Bye.
What happened? You don't want to talk about this movie. It never happened.
Could you show us on Halloween Bear where the movie
Where the movie touched you?
This is not the movie you were looking for.
This wasn't a movie at all.
But Jenny, would you recommend it to people?
She puts it on there. She's recommending it.
I don't have a choice. I'm running a Tomb of the Terrible group. I have to share it with people.
Fair enough.
No.
Look, I love you guys, but I must do this. But Chaos, what rating and would you recommend?
Only to my worst enemy, so they would never call me again. And I actually have to put Prey above this. So negative 2.5.
Wow. Okay.
Chaos,
Oh.
you do realize the flaw in that logic, right? Of recommending it to your worst enemy so that they never call you again. That is precisely the reason why they would keep calling you and they would keep asking you, why did you make me watch this movie?
You're paying for my therapy.
You're paying for my therapy.
Emotional damage, run 100%.
Okay, honey, here's your $3 back. But Pyle, we're now to you. What would you put this?
Number one, I've said it to you guys, and I'll say it here now. The toilet paper could not rate this because there was so much shit about this movie that it had to go and clean up everything. And this is how I'm going to say it. That right there.
Wait. Was that supposed to be Ron's rant thing?
Well, I changed it
just
because now I changed it
Okay,
to the rant.
I see. Well,
But yeah, it was created 5 minutes ago, and it did say Ron. But I was like, yeah, you know what? Anybody can use this one.
yeah. Would you recommend this to anybody? Okay.
No.
All right. Well, Ron, we're to you now. What rating would you give?
Up to this point, I have also been using Prey as my baseline for movies that sucked, that I would not want to watch again. And given a choice between having to watch either this movie again or watch Prey again, I would choose Prey. I can't even give this movie a rating because I don't think that there are enough negative numbers to do it justice. So I guess negative infinity, is that a number? Is that plausible? Can you do that? It was really that bad that Prey almost looks better in my eyes because of it. And I really didn't care all that much for Prey. So would I recommend this movie to anybody? No. In fact, if we never mention this movie again after tonight, I would be perfectly happy. I just really would not want to watch this movie again.
Okay. And be sick for a week from eating. Wow. Yeah. I'm right there with you. As far as I'm concerned, as far as a rating, I would give this.
To rate Ron? You want to rate me negative infinity?
No, it's my
Why
turn.
not?
No,
to
she
rate them.
said it sounds like a good way to rate it.
Oh, okay.
There
I
needed
would
to be a
definitely
comma
rate
there.
Ron negative infinity. But that's because I love him. But as far as the movie goes, Manos, The Hands of Fate, as a movie, at least gets a 1 because at least the guy made good on his bet to make a movie. Whether or not he forgets that, continues to think that it's easy to make a movie, that anybody can do it, well, we'd have to contact them. As far as as far as the litany of bad movies go, I don't believe that this is the Skeletor of the masters of the bad movies, but it's at least an evil Lynn as far as the stance. And as far as recommending this to anybody, it depends on what kind of an evil mood I'm in. But normally, if I want my friends to watch it, it'll always be the Rift Tracks Live edition.
Don't throw shade at Evil Lynn. She was way smarter than Skeletor. You know, people actually liked her.
Oh yeah, I had the action figure. So, Friday, you look like you had something to say there.
Now I want to know what the Skeletor is, as you say.
Really? You've never heard of the He-Man and the Master of the Universe?
No, I want to know what you're. No, I've watched it way too many times. No, I'm asking you what you're saying is the Skeletor of the bad movies.
Okay, so if the bad movies were all the evil characters in that show, Skeletor would be the top heap because he's the de facto leader.
Yeah, but what movie would it be?
What movie would it be? We haven't found it yet.
That's what I'm asking.
We haven't found it yet, I think.
This one's a top contender for it.
It is a top contender, which is why I'm saying Evil Lynn. But
well, let's tentatively put this movie in that spot for the Skeletor of bad movies, and we will change the list as we go on with new movies.
Sure, until something else comes and knocks it off of Snake Mountain, which is something I did not have as a kid, sadly. But moving along, we are going to get to the 5-star reviews and everything else. But first, we need to pay some bills. So whenever you're ready, let's roll the thing. We'll be right back.
Greetings and shabebans. We are the Retro Reductibus Cephala Podcast, a long-form bi-weekly show that celebrates all the things that made growing up awesome.
Yeah, that sounds good, but I don't know what all those words mean.
I think what Parasite seems trying to say is that on Retro Red Octopus, we explore a range of retro goodness, from toys, video games, and movies, to cartoons, and even snacks and school lunches.
Oh.
And we do it all with a positive spin, a slew of killer guests, and some very adult language.
And you know what else is cool?
No.
This crazy show is part of the Door King Podcast Network with new episodes every Tentacle Tuesday.
What's that?
And if waiting 2 weeks for a new episode gives you a sad, know that we drop bonus episodes all the time, like the off-format Crow's Nest and an interview series we call The Brig.
You can listen to Retro Red Octopus on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any app that's cool enough to carry the only show that celebrates all the things that make growing up awesome.
Oops.
Ooh, the hands will get you. The hands of fate will get you. Oh, anyway. Well, welcome back, everybody, and I hope everybody's doing well. So now, I do want to mention that have you bought your?
He's lagging bad.
Is everybody there?
Oh, there he is.
I'm here. What?
Okay. Okay, that was weird. This movie is cursed. It's affecting the show. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Okay, that was lagging a little bit then. I just wanted to mention that there's a book, Owl Menagerie. Proceeds go to fight illiteracy. So buy your copy. It's on Kindle and every place that you buy books at. So there are a couple of 5-star reviews that I noticed.
Really?
And with the way that things seem to be going on my end, we'll go with the first one here that just starts with the horror. The horror. You know, one of the worst days of my life was the day I stepped in the steaming pile of Manos, the Hands of Fate. I thought I knew what I was getting into myself into when I bought the original non-MST3K version of the film on DVD. Thought I could withstand the gutter level of production values, the corpse-like acting from the cast of unknowns, the peppy music soundtrack, the continuity errors, the molasses pacing, the cut and paste editing job, and dialogue that has the effect on the brain not unlike Novocaine. I've seen some bad cinema in my short time on planet Earth, but Manos, a film directed, written, and starred in by a fertilizer salesman. Okay, so now we're saying fertilizer salesman. So easily
selling the bullshit.
Yeah, right. Selling the bullshit. Easily sails past such memorable trek as and then he just keeps going on and on and on and on, and holy cow. Okay, we're moving on to the next review. The 5-star review. If you're blasting the movie with your review, you're 50 years too late. Whatever the hell that means. It's a bizarre thing. People who know of Manos, the Hand of Fate, still feel the need to mention how bad of a movie it is, then give it a 1-star rating as though they're shocked by it. If it weren't the worst movie ever made, would it be given such a 5-star restoration and a deluxe DVD release? That's why this is 5 stars. The work done on the restoration, the commentaries, the cute puppet show, everything. This is the Criterion Collection version of the worst film ever made. I want to get this guy on the show to explain himself.
Right.
Right. And the last one is Great Awful Movie. This is the best copy of an absolutely terrible movie. However, with friends or drunk watching it, it's great. That's how it was worded. It's a great time making fun of this crap. Plus, the bonus features are great.
There are bonus features?
There was a remake of the movie in 2009 where I believe they polished it up, which must be what these guys are talking about.
Polishing a turd?
Huh?
Maybe they actually synced up the soundtrack and stuff, and because there wasn't a puppet show either, so maybe that's what they were watching.
Okay.
It was a sock puppet.
I was kind of wondering about that. Oh, yeah. Today we're watching Manos, the Hands of Fate. Thank you for purchasing the DVD and giving me your money. Or whatever. But, okay. Are we ready for the wheel?
Yes, and I will not put the sequel to this one on there after dealing with Sleepaway Camp 2.
Thank you. That's all I'm asking. Oh, there are only 4 now.
All right. Yes. Are we ready, everyone?
Yes.
Let's go! Yes, there are only 4 because when we get to our fall season, we're doing all Amityville things. Oh, where are we at? Rock and Roll Nightmare!
Fuck yeah. Oh, yeah. Tor. This, too, is a movie that I've seen so many times.
Rock and Roll
All right.
Nightmare sounds better than what this was.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Direction.
Oh, yes.
I do have one more thing, if I may.
Yes. Yes, I believe so. This has strained our ability to remain sane while watching movies like this. And I thank you for joining us. And I thank everybody here for joining us too. Del, where can we find you?
You can go and see me here on the Owlite Network on a number of the shows that we do, not all of them. We have a lot of things going on right now. If you'd like to find me on Facebook, look up Carrie, Kari Sanders. And if you see this crow, that is me judging you. The rest of my stuff there is my author page, my stuff with Owlite. I am on splash pages on the Dorkening every Tuesday night. Tomorrow we are bringing back Keith Champagne, who is awesome. He has a new Kickstarter that we're going to be talking about. And yeah, pretty much if you don't reach out to me directly on my page, you're going to be speaking with Friday over here because she impersonates all of us over at Owlite because we all suck at social media.
Okay. All right. Friday.
I will be
where can
drunk
we
with a
find you?
squirrel later.
Aren't we all? Friday, where can we find you? You're muted.
Friday, you're muted.
I'm everywhere pretending to be everybody. And if you'd actually like to find me, I'm on Owlite, Fake War. My actual pages are Friday with the Library in the Blue Box, and my author page is Jennifer Elliott.
All right. Chaos, where can we
I'll
find
read your
you?
stuff.
Basically, here and wherever you find her.
Okay.
I am only her Muppet. I am not really here.
My
I
hands
was
are
wondering
not
where
what
that
it
hand
sounds
went.
like.
Okay.
No.
So, all right, Pyle, where can we find you?
Probably in a padded cell recovering from watching this movie. But you can find me on Facebook, Pyle Hazard. You can find me on many shows here. Not as many as half of these people. But yeah, this Friday is another episode of Chainer's Haunted Secrets, and I may or may not be on that one. Just time consenting. But yeah, you can find me on TikTok, but I need to start making some more TikToks. I got some homework to do by Friday. Ironically, that Friday, not the day Friday.
Oh, okay. So, Ron, where can we find you?
I would say you could find me in the bathroom bleaching my eyes out and scrubbing my brain trying to get this movie out of it. If you don't find me in the bathroom, then you could probably find me on Facebook under my author page, Ronald W Gillespie Jr. author. And you can possibly, maybe sometimes find me on TikTok under at Wolf Dojo. I make martial arts related content if you're into that sort of thing. And if you're not, then there's plenty of other shit on TikTok to watch, and don't worry about me.
Okay. Yeah, I think all of us need a little bit of mental floss after watching this movie, but at least next time it's going to be a fun one. But I am, as always, your humble servant, UncleNecRo. You can find me on the Owlite Network, and you can find me on various blogs, and also on a couple of podcasts. I just posted the Movies and Beer podcast, our discussion about the brand new Deadpool and Wolverine movie. That's over 90 minutes of us talking about it, and spoilers will be had, but I think you shall enjoy it. So, until next time, spay new to your friends and seek help.
After watching this movie, yes.
There is no help after watching this movie.
There's no help for you. Manos.